Welcome back to another episode. I am Sticks. This is my best friend and co-host D-Lo, and we are too complex. We got some good content for you today, but before we get into it, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thank all of y'all, man. We love y'all for getting us to the goal of 600 subscribers. Go ahead and run it up again.
We did it
and
twice.
Of course, that's fast. We went up to 6, down to 598, and back up to 602 now. So we love y'all, man. We love y'all. Yeah. And of course, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the bangers that we drop every single week. D-Lo, man, what's good with you, my boy?
What's up, bro? How are you?
Man, I'm chilling, How was your week, G?
Man, I mean, I can't say any different than how I always say. No complaints. It's been good. Work is chaotic. Work is picking up, and it's the reason for that. I know I've said that a couple times in the last couple weeks, but it has picked up. Family's doing good. I want to say, while I'm talking about the family, Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, but especially
Happy Mother's Day. We love y'all, man.
My ladies, my wife, my mom, my sister, my aunts, cousins, grandmothers, and my friends that all of my friends out there. Happy Mother's Day to y'all. And all the hardworking women across the world too. But more importantly, for me, those individuals.
For sure, man. This week has been pretty, my weeks recently have been pretty basic. I ain't got nothing really going on. I'm out here watching it by myself, man. So I ain't doing nothing eventful. You know what I'm saying?
We need to have a conversation. We need to talk.
No.
You know, a lot lately.
Let me tell you something.
That in there a little bit more as of late.
Listen. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I mean, I let my emotions out a little bit more than the next man. I'm cool with that. If we gonna be completely honest, we can talk about it right here. If we gonna be completely honest, a nigga, it's lonely out here, my boy. I'm out here by myself. Yeah. You feel me?
It's great all the time too.
Well, do you know what's crazy though? It's not even the weather. It's not the grayness of the climate. None of that. They ain't got nothing to do with it. It's around. Yeah. It's about not being around my people. You know what I'm saying? Not being able to reach out and touch people. You feel me? Pause. Right. First of all. Yeah. But not being able to, just reach out and have those actual in real life interactions with people. You feel me? So if I ain't at work or in traffic, I'm at home. You know what I'm saying? I get my daughter here with me the weekend, but it's just tough being 3,000 miles away from my family and my friends. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but as a whole, I'm cool. But sometimes sometimes it get to you. You feel me? So it's all good though. It's all good. But
yeah, I just noticed that every the last maybe month or so.
Yeah.
Niggas just lonely out here. I'm like, dang, all right. So,
but it's just one of those things where every once in a while I get homesick.
The best place to ask.
Man, are you good? But, I don't care. I don't care. Yeah. But now every once in I've been out here. October will be 3 years I've been in Washington, and every once in a while a nigga get homesick. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, but other than that, I'm cool, bro. Ain't nothing really going on. I get my daughter here every weekend. The last 2 weekends she ain't been here because her mom had a weekend and she was sick the following weekend after that. So she here this weekend, so we chilling. But other than that, I'm cool, bro. Trust me, if something was wrong, I'll reach out, bro. I say something. I say something. Everything cool. But we did have a conversation though. I talked to you about that off camera. But me and Sam did have a conversation in the car yesterday when I was picking her up. We talked about that off camera. Okay. Either way. 100%. But other than that, man, everything cool, working straight.
The win starting to come for you more.
Oh yeah. So I just recently got a win yesterday, actually, and I got 3 in the pipeline. So we working out here. We working out here.
I know you were saying it's more vigorous and more hard than what you were in before the industry.
Well, yeah, because I'm trying to sell something that's intangible. You see what I'm saying? And something that for any business, it don't matter what business you in, if you offer an insurance, it's your second highest expense that you have for your business.
Yeah.
So something that costs thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. I mean, insurance is the same amount as a car. If you think about it, sometimes depending on how big your business is, as much as a house. You know what I'm saying? Right. And for businesses, especially small businesses, that's a large expense. So you got to be able to show value in your company, not only just to try to give them savings on the insurance, but you got to show value in the company. And that's what I'm starting to get better at, is being able to show value in a company, but also trying to sell something that's intangible and make it tangible. So that's what got to make something, and that's what I be telling that's what I tell like the people who are around me. I'm just trying to, every time I talk to somebody about insurance, I say I'm just trying to make something intangible tangible, and trying to make them feel that they need my help type shit. So that's about it. But nah, the wins is coming. The wins is flowing in.
That's what's up. Before we get into everything, we are men of character, men of integrity on this podcast.
Hold on. I'm gonna cut you off real quick. I didn't say it either. Happy Mother's Day to everybody out there too. And to all my family, all my friends, and the women in the world, like D-Lo said, the hardworking women, happy Mother's Day to you. But go ahead, brother.
100%. Yeah, we extend sincere happy Mother's Day out there to everybody. But yeah, so we are men of integrity, men of good character, high character on this podcast. And I meant to say this a couple of weeks ago when the draft was going on, but it came and went. And I don't know, for whatever reason, I forgot to do it. But I want to extend an apology to a player that we did a segment on. It wasn't bad, but we may have painted him in a bad light, so to speak. Jalen Carter for the Eagles.
Okay, bet. Yeah, for sure.
Right before the draft, or after the draft, we talked about how he signed really quick, and he got in all that trouble before the draft, and it may have been a ploy just to get the money and all that. But turned out he had a great year this year. He lived up to the hype. He was the pick that the Eagles needed. Will probably be a great player in the NFL for 100%. A long time. So I just want to say that I apologize for whatever we said about you. I can't remember exactly what it was. I do know we did a segment on you, just highlighting some of the trouble that you were in and questioning why you were one of the first to sign and so on and so forth, or why you signed so quickly. But not too big to say I'm sorry and apologize about that.
Nah, for sure, man. I mean, it was one of those things where we were speculating some of the things, that happened, that kind of damaged his character. It was a lot of speculation. And again, like D-Lo said, man, we apologize if we did say anything that was hurtful, and it wasn't our intent. This podcast is to spread love, man. That's what we try to do, and we try to just give people information and try to be the best men we can be. Number one,
have conversations about complex topics, or not even really complex topics, but look at the different sides of each topic, which is why it's entitled Too Complex, because every situation has its complexities that you can talk about and different directions you can go in. So.
Nah, for sure. But yeah, man had an amazing season. Congratulations to you being runner-up for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Yeah. And keep doing your thing out there in Philly, man. Go ahead and get that money, brother.
Yep. But let's get right into it, man. So
what's good with you?
Let's continue with the beef. That is now apparently over. I believe that both parties have mentioned, or at least Kendrick's side. I don't know. Kendrick's side is kind of conflicting, because at one point early in the week, he said he had more in the clip for Drake. And I think yesterday, TDE came out and said, since the beef is over, let's talk about who won and all that and whatnot. Gotcha. And he said that the culture won. But anyway, so Drake and Kendrick have brought a lot of conversations with their beef to the forefront of Black culture through their dialogue back and forth with their tracks. Colorism, childhood dynamics, hypocrisy, profiting off of the culture, violence, so on and so forth. So, Six, how do you feel about the conversations that are being had in the Black community about the different aspects that were highlighted during this beef? Do you think it is productive, or do you think it will be productive, or does it add to the differences that we seem to have within the culture already?
I think both. I'm kind of 50-50 on this conversation, because as far as a culture, hip hop itself won within this. You know what I'm saying? Because as you know, I've said this numerous times on this podcast that rap music right now is trash. It's trash, bro. And this right here brought out a side of hip hop that we know from growing up in hip hop, growing up in the 90s, you know what I'm saying? Late 80s, early 90s, growing up in the 90s and the early 2000s, for real. We did a segment on that about a month or so ago. So I think hip hop, the culture of hip hop and music won within this beef. But I also think that as a culture of our people, it was kind of cringy to hear the kind of things that this showed America what we go through in Black culture.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, and it,
what do you mean by that, actually, though?
As far as, should I say, it happens in other cultures, but it's kind of, how should I say this? It happens in our culture. It happens in all cultures, but our community is the ones that is highlighted in more often than not. So say, for instance, like single mothers, deadbeat dads, right?
Yep.
How
heavily highlighted in our community.
It happens in all cultures, but heavily highlighted in our community.
Right.
The fact that Drake brought out the information that Kendrick may or may not have allegedly was essayed as a child.
Mm-hmm. Well, he said that in Mr. Morale's big segment.
But he said that he did. Well, he did. You're right. He did. I just didn't want it. I wanted to allegedly.
Yeah, that's what
we
he
didn't
said.
say that.
We didn't
they
say
that. but and it's a lot of things in these songs that they were talking about as far as Drake being a ghostwriter. They always talk about how our artists ghostwrite more often than not. But it's one of those things where it's like, damn, dog, like it's highlighting a lot of things that shouldn't be highlighted and that we're trying to change in the community. And I don't know really how I feel about it. But then I'm gonna go ahead and bring this up now since we're talking about it. We have people in our community telling white folk they can't have these conversations because they ain't Black. And that's insane to me. That's insane to me. And I think I brought this up to you earlier in the week about how DJ Vlad, who is a DJ, who is in the hip hop community, who interviews artists all the time, and talks about hip hop and goes on syndicated shows talking about hip hop, who is a white guy who's been in this industry for a decade now, over a decade, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And all of a sudden, now Kendrick and Drake are beefing, and now DJ Vlad is told by a Princeton professor, a Black young lady, that he need to stay out of Black folk business, stay out of Black affairs. Like, come on, bro. Like,
I think that's with the profiting portion of it, though. Because, DJ Vlad, he's been said to be a culture vulture for
he
some
has
time
been.
now.
He has been,
and
yeah.
I think what the professor from Princeton was trying to say is, like, we need to police our culture a little bit more rather than just letting anybody in. I know DJ Vlad. I've seen a few of his interviews, and I know he highlights oftentimes he highlights some of the negative affairs that go on within Black culture. But he also highlights some positive ones as well. But I think because of the types of interviews that he does, a lot of the people within the culture, the Black community, feel like he's just taking advantage of the negative more so than the positive and using it to his advantage, which is another one of the hypocrisies that I was talking about, and then the profiting off of the culture that have been highlighted in this beef. Because I mean,
for sure.
like now they're saying Drake can't profit off of our culture,
but
you know what I mean?
Drake is half Black. It don't make no sense. Like, that's what that's the
whole with colorism, right? This whole
with colorism,
like
this whole thing is
it's
insane. So it's one of those things where it's like, bro, like. But back to the DJ Vlad thing real quick, and I'll get off of it.
Nah, take your time, bro. Do what you do.
Is he? If he's a culture vulture, okay, is he one? I would say yes. But in the same instance, it's like, are we above criticism that a man, regardless of color, can't criticize something about us? Are we above that? Like, we can't be above criticism. We can't be above accountability, and none of us can. So if he's pointing out something negative, then shit, take accountability and say it was wrong, or say it's terrible.
What did he say exactly? I don't even know.
He said. And I was on DJ Vlad's side on this, and I don't even know why he retracted. He ended up coming out and apologizing to the girl for hitting up Princeton and basically
that's why he retracted.
But I wouldn't have if I was DJ Vlad. To be perfectly honest with you, I'd have been like, I'm leaving it where it's at. To be perfectly honest, and because I don't care. But either way, what he said was Kendrick's "Not Like Us" needed a better mix. It takes away from the song, which. But I don't agree with him. But that's all. He didn't say nothing wrong. He didn't say nothing bad. He didn't say anything bad about Kendrick or Drake. He didn't say. That's all he said. And the young lady said, "You are white. This is a black folk affair." And I'm just like, okay. So then he goes on to say, wait, so a professor at Princeton is telling me that a white person shouldn't be allowed to voice their opinion about hip hop. Is that how you interact with your students? And they kind of go back and forth from there. But I'm thinking I'm about to try to find.
Try to do there.
You see what I'm saying?
You're a black professor at Princeton. And you're telling me I see what you try to do there.
But that's another thing about colorism, the culture, things of that nature, right? So it's one of those things where DJ Vlad does take a lot of slack for being a white guy in the hip hop community, and he is a culture vulture, high key. But I didn't see nothing wrong with what he said. Is he right about what he said? Probably not. The mix was great on Not Like Us. It's a banger these days. Like people in the club banging it now. Like, what are you talking about? But
not actually banging, but yeah.
What you mean by that?
Because it's a West Coast beat banging.
Oh, I got you. Okay, but people
that was over your head. Okay,
a little bit. Well, I wanted to make sure I was going the right direction that you was going.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. No,
I won't think about mattress actresses. I won't think about that. But it's one of those things where, bro, like, why can't somebody just have an opinion? Like, you ain't gonna come on because we black. We can't. We can talk about it, but somebody else can't. That don't make no sense, bro. Yeah. So it's like it's one of those things where the hip hop won in this because it forced Kendrick to not take 6 years to make music again, and he back to back throwing out hip hop, throwing out rap, and actually somebody conscious who we love to hear to talk about hip hop or spit verses and bars. We loved it. Drake, who is a pop icon, is out here actually rapping and not singing. So it's like it was good for hip hop. He did. Yeah. But it's one of those things where it's like, bro, like it's so much stuff that us as a community go through already. Like, why are we out here highlighting this? Like, they could have did what people in the past did and left it to one banger and hit the road. But they both put out 4 songs, and Kendrick won the beef. So that's what I feel about it, man. What you think? How you feel about this whole situation with the culture, bro?
So I feel the same way you feel. I feel like it will start out as productive, but ultimately it'll cause more division than anything. And the reason I think it'll be a productive conversation is because it started the conversation, right? Typically, we just house or hone in our beliefs, and we don't want anybody else to try to change them or whatnot. You know, we'll have we'll argue our side about it, but never really hear the other side. And so that's what's happening. Like, the conversation is actually happening. People already feel how they feel about it, but because the conversation's being had, they're out there saying what they need to say, how they already feel, not really engaging in an actual dialogue to understand the other side, but just, spitting out what they heard and saying, yeah, this is why this is that way. I think Kendrick introduced or created the narrative for Drake in many different fashions, where he tried to assassinate his character, talked about colorism, talked about profiting off of the culture, talked about what else he talked about? Talked about his family dynamic and how he was raised and why he can't be a part of the culture, right? And so that permeates throughout our culture because we have so many different shades within the Black community, which, other cultures, other races have, but is really highlighted already in the Black community, and causes division, lighthearted jokes here and there, but, a lot of colorists a lot of feelings have been hurt in the past because of the shade of skin, right? He talked about Drake being half Black and how he can't say the N-word anymore. And so to me being light skinned, right? I don't think that I'm biracial, but down the line somewhere, I'm probably closer to white than I am Black. I don't know, but that caused a lot of friction. Or I felt some type of way about that because, like, well, damn, like if Drake can't say the N-word, and he's been saying it for so long, you telling other people that they can't say the N-word. Like, I don't know. It's just. I got a cousin. My cousin. I got a cousin lighter than both of y'all, and his mama Black. With it. Hard with it. He go crazy. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to you. You know who you is. Shout out to you, cuzzo. But he lighter than both of y'all, and he. I guess.
Pause.
Yeah,
but yeah,
hard with it. But anyway.
Oh yeah, go ahead. But I ain't mean to cut you off. But yeah, he lied to both of y'all, and he say the N word, and nobody, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. But go ahead.
But these are the type of conversations that have been started now, right? Like, you know, with his wife being biracial by definition, by his definition, because her dad, well, for what we know, and again, this is what the internet says. We don't know this for sure, but by her dad being black, her mom being biracial, she's biracial. So can she not say that? She not say nigga around the house? You know what I mean? So these are the type of conversations that are starting to be had because of this beef. And I think it's good that conversations are had, but ultimately I think it divides more division because of the new thought processes that are being put in place with the different aspects as we have already.
Exactly, man. I mean, there's so many. If he's saying that about Drake, he can say that about so many other rappers in the industry. That Cole should not be saying. Cole should not be saying it. Lotto should not be saying it. Logic should not be saying it. Like you know, but they all say the N word. So you need to say this about everybody. You know what I'm saying? But now you got
Fat
Drake
Joe.
House facts, but but I mean, he not black. You know what I'm saying? He say it. You know what I'm saying? He not of the African American culture. You know what I'm saying?
It brings out these different conversations that need to be had, or just need to be like, okay, we need to have some rules set in place. But it's a culture, man. You know, a lot of people want to be involved in the culture because of the influence that it has. Like,
for sure,
you can go back into the inception of hip hop and look at the influence that it's had on products being moved across industries or whatever, you know, how people dress, how people talk, so on and so forth. So everybody wants to be, I wouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people want to be involved in this culture because of the influence that it has, because of how impactful it is, because of the lives that it's touched. And you know, for us to say that people can't be a part of the culture because they weren't raised a certain way or because their skin is a certain color, I don't think that's right. Now, should there be certain things that they sit out, certain conversations that they sit out? Absolutely, because it's not pertaining to them specifically. But can they be a spectator? Absolutely. Can they maybe chime in here and there with experiences that they had within their culture to offer us help and not hurt the culture? Yes.
But it's one of those things too now where Drake house getting shot up and his, you know what I'm saying? And not saying that it was not saying that it was anybody from Kendrick's camp, but like now this beef has got, like, come on, bro. Like, it's now at that point, it's going too far. You know what I'm saying? I know we joked about it last week. I know we joked about it. I was thinking piece it up, like, you know, run the ones, you know what I'm saying? I need to get my one-on-one, but D-Lo was like, peace. Peace. Like, you know what I'm saying? But now he's getting too far. But I mean, it's so much hypocrisy that's going on now, where people just have a different take about this beef and in the direction that it's going now. A lot of the culture, like you said, people engage in it and people enjoy it because of the influence that it has. There's a lot of influence out there now that I'm going to keep my young ladies away. Like, young ladies, stay away from that culture. Stay away from it, please. If you don't mind, please stay away from it. But I mean, it's so influential that sometimes you gotta listen, and I understand it 100%.
Yep.
But moving on to the next one, man, we about to get into a little bit of sports. So we saw the Mavericks beat up on the Clippers, man, and in Game 3, our boy Russell Westbrook went crazy. He was out there just being the aggressive Russell Westbrook that we all know, but on defense. Okay. Yep. And I had a different side of this when we were talking about it on Thursday, but I think I'm a little bit more leaning towards another side this time.
Okay.
As I did my research, you know what I'm saying? So it was a couple of fouls and it was a couple of actions in that game that Russell Westbrook had that was like, okay, I understand a little bit. So Russell Westbrook had a hard foul on Luka Doncic towards the end of the game of Game 3. And then he got into it with PJ Washington, got into it with the referee, just kind of going crazy. And Stephen A. Smith went on First Take that morning and said that he ended up calling NBA home office to figure out why Russell Westbrook was not suspended. Mm-hmm. Me, initially, I was like, bruh, like, come on, dog. I was on the side of all the smoke, you know what I'm saying? And because they went in on Stephen A. Smith. But as I'm doing my research, I kind of figured out exactly what he was doing. But my question is, D-Lo, with this whole situation is, should journalists have this kind of power to reach out to the NBA home office to influence things of this nature? Or how do you feel about if Stephen A. Smith calling the NBA home office about Russell Westbrook getting suspended or not?
So I don't think they should have. They definitely should have enough power to call the league office to get information to make sure that they are reporting accurate information. But as far as influencing, probably not. And in Stephen A's instance, where he was being called a snitch and whatnot, I don't think that was warranted. I think he was just doing his job as a journalist to, as I mentioned, figure out the situation, see why Russell Westbrook was not suspended, because we all know, had it been Draymond Green or somebody of that character, he definitely would have been suspended. And so I'm not usually in the business of defending Stephen A. Smith. He does a great job defending himself when he feels like he's being attacked. But I think he was just doing his job as a journalist and trying to find out and understand why the league made the decision to not suspend him for Game 4 of the first round of the Western Conference Finals. Now, I think he did a terrible job in explaining his call to the league and made it seem like he called to get him suspended, but that wasn't the case. He actually was calling to see what the issue was and why the league decided not to suspend Russell Westbrook. And, you know, he said, I can't remember if he said it on his podcast. He was like, as a TV personality for ESPN, who pays the NBA billions of dollars, it is my job to call them to understand what made them come with can't talk on a Saturday morning. What made them come up with this decision to not suspend Russell Westbrook? That way the league can have their decision voiced accurately and not any speculation or outrage about it. And I think, you know, people just took it the wrong way and ran with it.
Yeah, I think he definitely did a horrible job of explaining exactly why he called them. Because initially, like I said, when we talked about this earlier in the week, I was like, bro, like, it's one of the things you just don't do as a reporter. You know what I'm saying? Like, because the way it came to me, the way I saw it was, Stephen A. Smith a snitch type, you know what I'm saying, type shit. But whenever I did the research, he said that, you know what I'm saying, he called, and I'm gonna read his direct quote actually. He said, it was inexcusable behavior. That's what I saw. I don't know why this isn't being talked about enough, but to be quite honest with you, I was in the mindset that Russell Westbrook deserved to be suspended for today's game, which would have been Game 4. Yep. Can you hear that? Sam alarm going off. That's how appalling his game was. And then he said, I felt so serious about this, fellas. I called the league office and said, I need an explanation. Tell me why Russell Westbrook wasn't suspended. That's the part that got everybody up in arms.
Yeah, he did a terrible job explaining that. Which he typically does not do.
Yeah, that's the part that got everybody up in arms, because whenever he said that, I need an explanation, tell me why he wasn't suspended, everybody was thinking, okay, damn, now he's going to be suspended for real. You know what I'm saying? That's what everybody was thinking in their mind. But then he said he was told that he got a couple of technicals, plus a flagrant, plus he was ejected, plus no one was injured. So that's where he stood down. It's like, okay, I understand. So, and then he said, but it's the playoffs because of how important it is. You can't do that. So after
that's what the league said, right?
Yeah, that's what the league said. So now that I got my information, now I'm okay. I understand why Stephen A. did what he did, but I was like, bro, that's just to be perfectly honest, bro, it's mind your business. If we get to the point of prayerfully, we get to the point of Stephen A. Smith, and we have the power to say we can call the NBA home office and something like that happens. Me personally, I'm minding my business. I'm minding my business. Because
when people come to you, again, if we get to that point, when people come to you or come to your platform at this time is First Take and then NBA Countdown, people come to your platform to get information about certain situations that they may not be privy to that you are, or that you can get the information directly from the horse's mouth. Why would you just mind your business in that? And you're a journalist. That's your job is to report on
Agreed.
stuff that's going on.
I'm going to report that he had a terrible game and was out there trying to bully folk, and he was ejected from the game and he was not suspended. That's what I'm going to report, because if I feel like I feel like Stephen A. Smith has the power to overturn some shit. And if I feel like I have that power, I don't want to. I feel like he does. If he got the bat phone and can call up Adam Silver or the head official, the president of the officials of the NBA, that could possibly be like somebody throwing up a challenge flag in a game and having New York look at it and say, okay, yeah, we need to make this call, actually. But I just don't like having that impact. I don't like having that impact on somebody else's career or somebody else's outlook. Because if he would have actually got suspended for Game 4, that's Stephen A. Smith's fault. Now, an NBA player can't play in Game 4 of a playoff. I don't like having that power. I just don't like having that influence. You see what I'm saying? Like I would feel bad in the sense, and then now the rest of the world hating too complex because we done got Russell Westbrook suspended for a playoff game. Now they did come out and say that if it was the regular season, it might have been different. But since how important the playoffs is, you can't just make a call willy-nilly or overturn something willy-nilly because it's the playoffs. This people are playing for championships. This could possibly be the last game of their season for Westbrook, maybe career. Maybe not,
but yeah,
maybe not, but maybe. But he's been in the league for a while, and he ain't been playing well the last 2-3 years, possibly. But at the same time, it's like I just don't like having that power, bro. I wouldn't want to have that power to be able to influence something like that, and somebody else's career is in jeopardy. I wouldn't want to have that power. Yeah,
I would not call to if I was Stephen A. Smith, I would not call to say Russell Westbrook. I struggle to say Russell
Westbrook should be. You wouldn't say he should be fired. He should be suspended. But you asked
I would
why
not call to say he should be fined or suspended. But I definitely would call to get an understanding of what is going on. Why did y'all come up with this decision, and report it? Because again, it's my job, and yeah, it may cause a lot of controversy for me asking why they came up with this decision, but it's like I'm doing my job, and that's the thing for me. Like again, that's why I said I don't typically defend Stephen A. Smith because he does a great job doing it himself. But
he does
when somebody's doing their job, they're not going above and beyond. Because I don't think this is going above and beyond a journalist. If Wojnarowski would have reported this, would we have said anything? No, we wouldn't have said anything. No,
we would have.
We wouldn't have.
Why? Because he's white?
Said it.
We just talked about this culturism, this colorism shit.
Yeah, but I don't think he would have said anything. I don't think anybody would have said anything if he said, I called the league office to get an understanding of why they came out, why they didn't suspend Russell Westbrook from Game 4 of the first round of the finals, first round of the playoffs. I don't think anybody would have batted an eye, but because Stephen A. is black,
and who he is, and it's another black
and
man,
who he
involved.
is, and people want to protect.
I see where you're going with it.
That's the problem I have. It's like we too old for this, bro. Like we are too old and are more than likely far removed from the street life or have never been a part of the street life to be talking and calling somebody a snitch.
For sure.
And like everybody that's involved with the start of this narrative about Stephen A. Smith are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. We're talking about it. We're in our 30s. Gilly, All the Smoke, they're in their 40s, maybe even 50s. Stephen A. Smith himself is 56-year-old. Why are we worried about him being a snitch? We're too old for that, man. You know what I mean? Like they all have large sums of money to where they are removed from that and can potentially help the communities that they came from if they were involved in the street life to help change that dynamic. But because we want to keep some code of being a snitch that we were never a part of, far removed from it, we want to keep that code like to intimidate people from doing their job and holding us accountable. I don't agree with it, bro. I think it's something that we need to let go. We hold on to stuff that continues to hinder our community rather than help our community. And it was something that you said. We talked about this early in the week. It was something that you said on one of the segments where we were talking about the community, where you were like, I don't know the exact quote, but basically you were saying we enjoy our community enjoys the struggle, enjoys the pain.
Yeah, the thing about the thing that Agent Zero said in his in one of his videos that I watched. I know what you're talking about.
And at one point at that point I didn't agree with it. I was like, I don't think so. Yeah. I as I've matured over the last couple months, last year or so, I feel like it may be true. Like we do hold on to like small things that keep our community from moving forward and progressing into the positions that we need to progress in, because we want to hold on to these small codes of the street at 30, 40, and 50. Bro, come on, man. Like, really? We would rather engage in that than to combat it, to help our communities to be safe, to have our kids to not be intimidated, to speak up when something is wrong. Again, not saying that they should actively go give information to police or stuff like that, but like, come on, if somebody asks, if you saw something and somebody comes to you and asks, hey, do you know anything about this? Yeah. Okay, tell. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, and I know that doesn't have a lot to do with Stephen A. Smith, but he was called a snitch. And I just don't agree with that. For him doing his job, he was just holding the NBA accountable, trying to figure out what is going on with this situation. And then he was labeled a snitch. I mean, I would feel some type of way too if I'm doing my job and didn't really get anybody criminally in trouble, and you call me a snitch. So,
I mean, but if you're doing your job though, how would you have worded that? Like, he worded it terrible. Stephen A. Smith worded it terrible on First Take. How would you have worded that?
Yeah, well, it's because he said, I called to see why Russell Westbrook.
He said he called and said, I need an explanation. Tell me why Russell Westbrook wasn't suspended. How would you have worded that differently?
When somebody says, I called and I need an explanation, what does that sound like? A Karen. Right?
For sure.
Telling everything, or going, I need to speak to your manager, right? He shouldn't have said, I need an explanation. He should have said,
I called to get an understanding.
I called the NBA. Yeah, I called the NBA to understand why they came up with this decision or how they came to this decision of not suspending Russell Westbrook for Game 4, when Draymond Green in that same instance would have been suspended immediately, and we all know it. Something of a sort, right? He didn't say that on First Take or NBA Countdown, but he said it. He said it on his podcast. He said I think he said something of the sort. He mentioned Draymond Green. But when you say, I called the NBA, I don't know why I can't talk today. I called the NBA and wanted an explanation, or needed an explanation for why, that automatically raises our antennas. Is like, oh, he went and told. Nah, he didn't tell. He went and did his job to try to figure out so he can report on it.
Yeah. And that's the understanding I came to, because initially I was on the side of Gilly, all the smoke. I was like, yo, like, why he out here trying to get, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not, you not home office, like, you just a journalist, but he is a journalist. So he wants to give the accurate information to his audience, which I can understand, because that's what we want to do too. So I had to step back a little bit from the culture that holds us back. And I had to take a step back and say, you know what? He just doing what we try to do. And I understand why he did it. But it just didn't sound right. It just didn't sound right. Yeah. So but I understand it now. I get it now.
Yeah, we too old for this cold street, the code of the street stuff, man. We ain't, what you said to me and my wife early in the week, once you 25, you old in today's day and age.
It is,
right?
Yeah, facts.
Kids call you old as dirt. You old as AF. Bro, we too old. We too old to be holding the code of the street, especially if we ain't living in the street or still doing all that stuff. Now, if you in that, if that's what your lifestyle is, yes, live by that code, because you gotta survive out there.
For sure.
Them people is removed from this. Like
far removed.
The one that's closest to it maybe is Steven Jackson.
Steven Jackson, maybe. Facts.
even Gilly, now that he got that
podcast and he doing his
podcast and he got that money, I'm sure he's well removed from that. Now, yes, he lost his son recently, and so that's probably keeping him within the culture a little bit. But I mean, realistically, he ain't even a part of that anymore. So we gotta let it go and progress like as adults.
I agree with you. I agree.
Yeah. But sticking with Stephen A. Smith and members of the podcast, members of the sports media, this is where I feel like the power is held. All right. So last week, the Los Angeles Lakers, they fired or parted ways with head coach Darvin Ham after their first round loss to the Denver Nuggets. This move drew criticism, and ultimately sparked a conversation about LeBron James and his position in the GOAT debate. Sticks, do you think, how do I want to word this? Why do you think everything imaginable out there that's negative is to I can't talk today for whatever reason. We might want to redo this podcast, bro. Good gracious.
You good, brother. You good, brother.
Why do you think they're trying to use everything imaginable to discredit Bron's greatness and ultimately his position in the GOAT debate?
LeBron James is the most underappreciated, most hated superstar I have ever seen. I don't think there is anybody who I can name in my lifetime who has never been on any allegations. Well, he's on allegations, but has never tested positive for PEDs, has never, allegedly has never cheated on Savannah, has never done anything. He's always been there for the kids, doing good things in the community, always showing up whenever it's time for him to be on that basketball court. Has no tarnish on his name. And yet and still, people still feel like he is not what he is. You know what I'm saying? Like they still try to bring this man down. He is the epitome of the saying, damned if you do, damned if you don't. He is the epitome of that saying, for real, for real. And the whole thing about the coaches getting fired and I feel like all of this started with the decision, honestly. All of the hate came with that. But even before that even happened, the players in the league was like, we don't need LeBron. We don't need him. You know what I'm saying? The people on the Cavaliers team was like, why would they bring him in? We don't need him. We got 2 people in his position already. Why do we need LeBron? It's like he is the most underappreciated player in sports history, I feel like. And to the coaching thing, I saw a report. Brian Windhorst went on the what podcast did he go on? Dan Patrick. He went on the Dan Patrick show, and he ended up saying, Wendy has been, reporting LeBron since LeBron was at St. Vincent St. Mary's,
right?
And he has been the LeBron journalist for 21 years now, probably longer than that. But he went out on the Dan Patrick show and said LeBron tries to stay as far away from the coaching hiring decision as possible. Like he whenever he lets the front office do all of those things, and he says LeBron doesn't get involved in coaching hires. For years, for many, many coaches, he's always taken a distance. In fact, I can't say this for every candidate, but he has a rule generally that he won't engage with the candidate. After the coach is hired, of course, he'll have a conversation with the coach, but generally he wants to stay out of it. He doesn't want it on his hands. That's what Brian Windhorst said. Do I believe he has a little bit more influence on who coaches him? 100%. I think he has a little bit more influence than that. But I do agree with what Wendy said, is that ain't his job. His job is to be a leader of men on the court. He ain't got nothing to do with what's on the sideline and what's in the office. You know what I'm saying? But the office is going to come to him as their superstar and say, hey, this is what we're thinking about doing. And he might say, yeah, he might say, okay, cool. He might, do what y'all do. But I don't think LeBron has as much influence on the coaches as everybody makes it seem. But now we get into a situation where Stephen A. Smith, Kendrick Perkins, and other people in the media are saying that the reason why Mike Wilbon is going off on LeBron James, saying that now he out of the GOAT debate because of how many coaches he's gotten fired. Like, he has that power for real. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me how this man is the most hated superstar in sports history. It don't make no sense, bro.
You did say 2 weeks ago that Bron had a lot of power, and we know he does.
Oh yeah, he does. 100%.
We're not going to act like he does not. Yeah, we're not going to act like he does not. But, and I apologize for cutting you off, but this is ridiculous. Like,
yeah, it is.
We just moving the goalposts for what actually makes somebody the GOAT.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, which is why I've continued to say we need to set parameters for what gets you in the GOAT conversation automatically. Like, you do this, you're automatically in the GOAT conversation. And then after that, whatever you do positive, unless you do something drastically negative, it can only help your GOAT conversation. It can't really hurt. Mm-hmm. But once you hit these parameters, you're in the GOAT conversation. But right now, it's all on opinion and emotion, and that's the GOAT conversation. But like I said, coming into this segment, I think this is where the power of the media and journalists, this is where we need to kind of rein it back in a little bit. But, it's there now. I don't think it's anything that we'll be able to do. But the narrative spinning and the narrative creating is where their power really begins to show, and is reflected in the thought processes of many individuals within the sports community. Because, like we mentioned before, this was brought up, nobody ever thought about, the number of coaches that somebody has can determine if they're the greatest of all time. What? Like, really? Because LeBron, who historically throughout his career has played for either first-time coaches or very small tenured coaches in his career, and all of them, other than his first 3 years in the league and then his first 2 years with the Lakers, all of them have gone to the Western Conference Finals, or at least the Western Conference Finals or the Finals. Mm-hmm. So, like, we're saying he's played for multiple coaches, but all of them, for the most part, have been winners. And we know that when LeBron James is on your team, it's championship or bust, or you're expected to be playing for championships. And when you don't, if LeBron has been playing how he's played throughout his career, other than the 2011 finals, then you're pretty much going to be set. Like with the Miami Heat, I believe they tried to spin this narrative, or they said that LeBron tried to get rid of Spo, but Pat Riley put his foot down, was like, oh no, Spo is staying here. Well, now we're seeing how good of a coach Spoelstra is, because he's been to the finals without LeBron. He's been in multiple conference finals without LeBron, D Wade, and company in Miami. I think Mike Dave, what's the coach name? Mike Davis?
Mike Brown.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Mike Brown, who was the coach for Cleveland before LeBron left and went to Miami. He's now having success, or in the process of turning around the Sacramento organization, right? He had you're talking about Mike Brown is. Okay, I was thinking Mike Brown. Yeah, Mike Brown is with Sacramento. So I mean, I'm saying all this to say is, like, if you're a good coach, you will continue to be a good coach, right? LeBron has played with young coaches who don't have the notoriety of a Phil Jackson, who coached both Michael and Kobe, or a Pat Riley or whatnot. So for those great individuals that had coaches that had tenure because of their name, like dang, I just seen him a couple weeks ago too. The San Antonio coach. Well, I can't think today. My brain is.
Mike Brown is San Antonio coach right now.
No, San Antonio.
You talking about Pop, Coach Pop.
Because of who he is, he ain't had a lot of success in the last 5 years, I want to say. But he's still,
since that big three retired, yeah,
exactly. He's still the coach of the Spurs because of his name, and like, it don't matter who you have on the team. It's going if you have established yourself as a coach, they're going to keep you around. And until it's till it just goes awry and you just can't do anything with it. But when you have LeBron on the team, we know it's championship or bust. And when you get knocked out in the first round, we got to make some changes because we're not going to get rid of LeBron. He make too much money.
He's too good of a damn player. Shit.
He's too good of a player. He puts butts in the seats, whether they like him or not. You're a casualty of war. So the narrative that was spun was he needs to take accountability for this. And
why? Why is LeBron held accountable for a coach getting fired? Like that don't make. It's one of those things where I feel. It's one of those things where I feel like people just thinking that people in the sports community or people in the world just think if you can't win with LeBron, you ain't no good coach. So you got to go. Because LeBron in his 21-year career has only missed the playoffs 4 times. His first 2 years in the league, 18-19 whenever he first got to the Lakers, and then 21-22 whenever he and with the Lakers as well. Those are the only 4 years that he's missed the playoffs. He's been to 8 straight finals, and 17 out of the 21 years he's been to the playoffs.
Right.
So that's what people think. Like, damn, LeBron has been a staple in the playoffs and the finals for his whole career. And now we got coaches that can't win with him. That's why he got to go. But why does that fall on I guess that falls on LeBron's shoulder because of who he is. But he ain't got no say in who get hired or who get fired.
I think so. And it's going to seem like I'm defending the reporters, and I'm really not. But I think the issue is that LeBron is so passive aggressive with stuff that he does, or
very much agree.
cryptic tweets or cryptic IG posts about how he feels about certain situations, or his quote unquote goons will say stuff in the media to get the net. So so now let's get to that too, and why I ultimately think this is an issue for these OGs in the journalistic game, because now he has a podcast and he has say in what the narrative can be and can't be for him, and so it combats what they feel. And a lot of them have issue with these athletes being in the podcast space and having their voice and their narrative anyway, but it combats what they're able to spin, because now the people that are actually in the trenches playing are saying what's going on, and the people that have been spectating and reporting on it for so long, now what they say is second fiddle to what this person says, because I'm going to go to LeBron first to see what he says, and then I'm coming back to you and see what you say. And so they have an issue with that. And I mean, Stephen A has said multiple times on his podcast, on First Take, on wherever he can say it, that he thinks LeBron he doesn't understand why LeBron is in the podcast space. Now you want to talk about basketball. Now you want to teach the game of basketball. So bro, why you got an issue with LeBron having a podcast, but you don't have an issue with Draymond having a podcast? You don't have an issue with Paul George having a podcast. You know what I mean?
Michael Porter Jr. got a podcast. Like, why we not talking about these guys? We got Patrick Beverly got a podcast. Like a lot of well, he ain't in the league no more, but Jeff T got a podcast. Like everybody got podcasts now. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk sports and talk about their experiences, and why LeBron the only one that can't talk about sports now. And why he can't be a journalist, because he's still, most people that we name still playing. So what are we talking about?
Exactly.
But it's so stupid. It's such a stupid narrative that they're trying to spin about LeBron, bro. Because it's like, damn if you do, damn if you don't. You know what I'm saying? And it's just annoying, bro. It's just annoying. I had something I wanted to say, but it escaped my mind. But
my bad. I was talking too long.
No, you good. You good.
But yeah, I mean, it's for me. I hate that the goalpost continues to get moved, because and I've been on record in saying that LeBron is 1A, 1B. I can't put him. In my mind, I can't put him above Jordan, but he is definitely on par with Jordan.
Already done it.
Yeah, I know you. Yeah, and
I've already done it.
And that's
y'all
the
see
thing,
this in my background every week. Y'all see that right there.
Jordan behind you too, though.
I do, because they're both GOAT, and a cultural icon.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
But that's my thing, though. If you don't like LeBron, you just don't like LeBron. Nothing he can do can say make you think he's the GOAT. But stop trying to come up with these different narratives or these different aspects of the game or whatever he is dealt with to discredit him from being in the GOAT conversation. Because we like to say, oh, well, Bron can't be the GOAT because of this, or because he's moved from team to team to team. Okay. Do we forget that Kobe tried to force his way out of the Lakers until they brought him somebody else on the team? He wasn't getting that in Cleveland. Bron was not getting that in Cleveland. Like, they were trying to bring people to the Cavs, but who wants to play? Like Joakim Noah said, y'all really like Cleveland? Like, what's it to do here? It ain't that great. Like, it's Cleveland. Like, no offense to Cleveland. I got some friends.
Probably the same thing with Minnesota.
Exactly. But see, when you can build a team through trades and whatnot, as Minnesota has done, they've been playing well, then your franchise will go up. But Cleveland, for whatever reason, that franchise until recently, they just couldn't get it together. Like, they couldn't put the pieces together around Bron that got them over the hump. And so until he left and came back when they had draft picks and whatnot, that's when they got it together.
Other than they tried to make a big three with Kyrie and Kevin Love, but it was a lot after them. Both of them ended. After Kyrie left, they still had man. I won't say the team was trash though. It wasn't trash. It wasn't as bad as it was when he was in Cleveland the first time. But at the same time, it's like, bruh. Yeah.
He was able to take those teams to the finals, and everybody gonna say, well, the East was weak. Okay, the East was weak. If you want to stick with that argument, all well and fine. But every team he's left has been drastically different from when he was there.
100%.
So they were going to the playoffs. They were no longer part of the playoffs when he left. Cleveland, Miami remains to be seen. Cleveland with again. LA. I doubt LA will be in that situation because it's LA. I guess you could say the same thing about Miami too. But
yeah. But I know what it was. What I wanted to say. I want to see, because I watched the last episode of Mind the Game. I want to see this week if LeBron actually, if JJ Redick asks him that question and LeBron actually addresses, bruh, like, what are they talking about with these coaches, bruh? I want to see if he actually said. I don't think he will. I don't think they'll bring that out. But I want to see if he says something, because I watch it every week. You hope they don't?
I was gonna say I hope the Lakers don't hire JJ Redick. I want JJ Redick.
I don't think they should either.
Yeah, I don't. I hope they don't, because then that
should not be his first coaching job. That should not be his first coaching job. And then, like you said, it also feeds into the narrative that LeBron and JJ are best friends and they got this podcast together. It definitely feeds into the narrative. But leave Bron alone, bro. Like, please, just let this man thrive, dog. Like, it makes everybody sound so dumb whenever they come up with something new every single week or every single month to make it seem like LeBron ain't the greatness that he is, bro. Just shut the fuck up. Just like I said about the whole gender gap, wage gap. Y'all just shut the hell up. Just shut up. It gets annoying, bro. Like, and not that I low key am a LeBron stan, if you want to say it that way, but at the same time, it's like he's done everything to prove y'all wrong. He statistically, he's the greatest player to ever play. Y'all said the East was weak. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go to the West, win a championship. You know what I'm saying? Everything that they hate on LeBron for, damn if you do, damn if you don't. He's the epitome of that statement. I swear to God, he is. It's crazy. But moving on to the last topic of the day, man. We definitely on opposite sides of this, because I think you're gonna have something crazy to say, and I'm gonna be like, bro, you wildin'. But
I don't think so.
Really? Because we were talking about this earlier in the week, and you.
I don't think I will, but go ahead, because I can't remember the conversation, honestly.
So Austin Rivers goes on the Pat McAfee show, and he comes. I ain't gonna say that like that. He says something that the social media went crazy with, and he says that he could take 30 NBA players right now and put them in the NBA, but don't know any NFL players.
in the NFL. He put them.
Oh, that's what I meant to say. He could take 30 NBA players and put them in the NFL right now, but don't know any NFL players that he could put in the NBA. D-Lo, how do you feel about this? Because me personally, you know our background, you know my background, you know our background. Yeah. We played both sports.
Yeah.
What do you think, bro? What do you think?
Well, first off, I don't think there's 30 players in either league that could play in. You can drop them in the other league and they'll be successful. I just don't think that's going to happen. They're professionals for a reason. All of them are great athletes, but they're professionals in those leagues for a reason. They either they've practiced hours and hours upon hours a day in their craft to be who they are in those leagues, whether they're the starter and the top tier player or the last person on the bench. Every last one of them individuals, they're there for a reason. But people act like NFL players aren't athletes, and like they just big, strong men with limited athleticism. Like that's they're sadly mistaken. Just put it that way.
Sadly mistaken.
You look at the combine every year, and that gives you all the proof of athleticism that you need for NBA for NFL players, because you have dudes that are 6'8", 290, 300 plus pounds running 4.8, 4.7s.
Man,
that's athleticism in itself. Like how much more athletic do you want to get? And then you have cats that are 6'3", 6'4", running 4.3s, 4.2s damn near. So I mean, like, I think, not to say that the NBA players don't have that type of athleticism. They can run and jump out the gym, so on and so forth. But to get to my point, I think that you will be more likely to have an NFL player transition to the NBA successfully than the NBA player transition to the NFL more successfully. And the reason for that is the physicality of
thank you, D-Lo. Thank you, D-Lo. Thank you. Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
I mean, that and that's ultimately the determining factor, because if it wasn't for the physicality, I'm sure there are a lot of NBA players who probably love football more than they love basketball, and they would have played. But because of that constant impact, like, nobody, they said, nah, I'm done with this. I'm going to play basketball. So, I mean, I understand what Austin Rivers was trying to say. Like, there are definitely some high caliber athletes in the NBA that could be good theoretically in the NFL, but I don't think they really want those problems.
They definitely don't want those problems, bro. Football is literally 60 car crashes in 4 quarters. Literally and that's being generous, because there's some plays, there's some games where you go to 70, 80, 90 plays, and each play is a car crash. Right. I don't know a lot of basketball players that can handle that type of contact week in, week out. And that's why football is only 17 weeks and basketball is 82 games. Basketball, all credit to it. I played basketball at a high level. I loved football because of the competitiveness, the team sport, 11 guys on each side, 70 players on the team that travel. It's 52 in the NFL, but you got it's the ultimate team sport where all 11 players have to do their assignment to be able to win the game. Is there basketball players that could go to the league, to the NFL and possibly be good? Everybody know LeBron. Everybody know Dre. Everybody say LeBron. Everybody say Draymond. Everybody say this. Everybody say that. Because of their aggressiveness, the way they play the game of basketball. They're very high contact. But the one thing that NFL players would have to get adjusted to in the NBA is the lack of contact. Like, I think it would be one of those things where NFL players would come in and
constant lateral movement.
Yeah, but the crazy thing is that football players have some of the best footwork in the world.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, footwork wouldn't be an issue. Lateral movement wouldn't be an issue.
Weight,
they would. Sure. I don't even think that, bro. The crazy thing is that I seen, and granted, it's pickup, but I seen somebody like Max Crosby, who is 6'6", 260 pounds. going crazy on the basketball court, shifty, moving, going crazy. Bro, basketball players would, I think there's more basketball players, and I ain't going to sit here and say they would be like LeBron James, be GOAT level, but there's a lot of basketball players, a lot of football players in the NFL that would dominate in the NBA. They would go crazy, give buckets. There's players who had D1 scholarships to go play basketball in high school that chose football over basketball because they just love the sport. Like, the fact that Austin Rivers probably never played a lick of football in his life. Football has made more basketball players than basketball has made basketball players.
That is 100% a fact.
That's 100% a fact. Our high school basketball team was probably 70% football players.
I think that's a bigger number. It's probably 40%, almost 50.
Our senior year. I'll go with that. I'll go with that. I'll go 50%. I go 50%. Yeah. But 8 out of 15 players is a lot of football players.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Right. So like, and the crazy thing is, and I'll be remiss if I didn't say this, they was trash before they got us. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't. Stick said that. I didn't say that. I would never.
I ain't gonna lie. And if somebody's watching this and y'all was on the team with us, y'all know the truth. Y'all know the truth. Y'all was trash before. That's why. Y'all was trash before November. Y'all was trash before November. So don't even act like that. Don't even act. And even in college when I played in Central. Come on, man. What are we talking about?
My thing, this is my thing. You have never from what I know, it could very well be different. You have never seen a scholarship basketball player go play football in college, but you've seen multiple scholarship football players go play basketball.
Yes, multiple. And the crazy thing is, in my experience, I didn't even go to school for basketball.
Right.
I went to school for football. I ended up gaining a dual scholarship because the coach at Central found out that I was good at basketball at high school, and he came to the football field and low-key begged me to play.
Yeah.
I played 2 years of college basketball because the coach was like, all right, cool, come play. I know you was nice in high school. Come play. I want you to play. I want you on the team. And gave me a scholarship. Right. I was like, I'm not even here for this. I'm not even here for this. You don't hear that happen, bro. Like, that contact will fold basketball players, bro.
Right.
But football is a sport that you have to love to play because you're going to get beat up every single week. Every single Saturday and Sunday, you're going to get beat up. Sometimes Thursday. Not Thursday all the time. But you're going to get beat up. Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Like, you're going to get beat up. Friday, Saturday for college, of course. But you're going to get beat up in high school. You're going to get beat up every single week. Yep. So what are they talking about? There is not many basketball players that's going to go crazy.
Yeah. It's even some football players, raise my hand, that don't really like contact like that. You know what I mean? And so obviously I didn't play that much at Wake. I didn't go pro like Sticks and like others that I know close that do like that contact and did go pro. You know what I mean? So it's just a different sport, man. And again,
I'm gonna slow you down, D-Lo. I ain't like getting hit now.
Well, yeah,
I didn't like getting hit, but I didn't. Yeah. But if I got hit, it hyped me up. You see what I'm saying? Like, I didn't want to. I caught the ball, got as far as I could, and fell because I didn't want you to touch me. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
And no, all good. And so I'll even go a step further. It got me to thinking maybe I should have done the opposite. It should have took basketball more seriously and tried to play. But then I would have. That's the only thing. That's the only difference with football players and basketball players is the height difference, right? Like the majority of basketball players are on the taller end. So like Steph Curry looks like he don't look like a midget, but he looks like a very miniature. He looks like a miniature version of everybody else on the court. Steph Curry 6'3". You got the bigger receivers, bigger DBs are 6'3", 6'5".
6'3", 6'5". Yep.
So that means that I would have to guard Steph Curry, chase him around the court all the time, or Allen Iverson. Like that's the only difference. That's the only difference. But if the person, if you have an elite athlete that's playing football, I think the transition to basketball is more easier with some practice than a basketball player transitioning
going to play football
to football and getting that contact week in, week out, every play.
The biggest thing for me, and you mentioned the whole NFL thing, right? Two things. The biggest difference for me going from college to NFL was the speed of the game. Everybody's fast, right? I came into the league running 4.38, 4.39, and I catch the ball in practice with Miami, and you got Jason Taylor catching me at an angle. You got Joey Porter catching me at an angle. You got Channing Crowder catching me at an angle. I'm fast, or what was. I run a 4 ever now, but I was fast back in the day.
Right.
You got defensive ends who are 6'4", 6'5", 270 pounds chasing you down, and you're a fast individual.
Right.
Going from football to basketball was my biggest adjustment was the speed of the game. It was so much slower. Mm-hmm. Like I felt like I was bouncing around. Like I felt like I was, you know what I'm saying? I was going too damn fast at some points. Right. But I had I don't I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna stand on it. I don't know many basketball players that's running low for anything in 40s. I don't think there's many of them in the NFL that's doing that.
That's running what?
Low for anything. Like I would go so far as to say I don't think there's a lot of basketball players that run 4.5 or lower.
I think that's a stretch. It's just because they don't run 40s.
They don't do explosive things. They don't do explosive workouts either. But still, yeah,
they have some fast cats in the NBA. This is the last thing I'll say about this. In basketball, one person can get you to the NBA Finals every year. In football, it takes multitudes of individuals to get you in the playoffs every year. Honestly, like it can't just be one person. We have never seen just one person outside of the quarterback position to get a team to the playoffs every year. But in basketball, one person, just one can get you to the playoffs and to the championship every year. That speaks to the athleticism of the NFL.
It does. But this is going to sound arrogant as hell me saying this. But I was an independent All-American my senior year of college at North Carolina Central University. And I didn't care about basketball. My cousin James, if he sees this, my cousin James always tells me I was better at basketball than I ever was at football. And the reason why I was good at basketball is because I didn't care. I didn't care. You literally used basketball to stay in shape for football. I didn't care about basketball at all. I just went out there. You would catch me on the court. I'm dancing around. I'm being silly. I don't care, bro. I didn't care. But was All-American in college. Didn't give. I played. I left the NFL, came back to college with a scholarship, and the only reason why I went back to school is because they gave me a scholarship. The only reason why I played is because they gave me a scholarship. Otherwise, I would have just been probably wouldn't have graduated without it. Thank you, coach. But
that's crazy. Man went pro and
I didn't care.
Man was it doing NIL before NIL.
Well, I still had a year left, so they kept me on the, you know what I'm saying? But
you can't do that nowadays though, right?
I think it's still a running clock from the time you step foot on the court, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know all the rules, to be perfectly honest, but my running clock was from freshman year to quote unquote senior year in football because I came in playing football. But whenever I played basketball my sophomore year of college, I was still a freshman on the court.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think you can't do it that way now. I think it whenever you start whatever, I think I could be wrong. Whatever sport you start, that's when your clock starts.
Your actual eligibility clock starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not how it was back when we was in school. But I was a freshman my sophomore year in basketball. I went to NFL, came back to school. I was a senior in basketball. So, but I played basketball with no care in the world. That's how easy it was for me as a football player to play basketball. Because it was just because I was just more physical than everybody else. I was stronger than everybody else because football is more of a power sport. Basketball is more of a finesse sport. And, but it's just, I don't think Austin Rivers understood what the hell he was talking about when he said that. Because he probably has never played football in his life. So he probably has no experience in what the fuck he said. And it was like, bro, you got to be dumb. Like, there's so many more football players that are coming in the NBA and be good players than NBA players going to the NFL and being good players. They would not. I can probably name one.
Theoretically.
Period. The fuck? Like, no, I'm standing on that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying for me, again, I started out my statement saying I don't think there's 30 players on either side that can transition to play those respective sports. You would be
hard pressed to find 30 NBA players, but you wouldn't be so hard pressed to find 30 NFL players. Yeah. You wouldn't be so hard pressed. You would find more NFL players than you would find NBA players
that could actually make the roster. No.
Yes.
I don't think you would. I don't think you'd be hard pressed to find that. NBA going to NFL, I think you'd be just because of the physicality. Now, if we take physicality out, if it's flag football, then
we're not talking about flag. No, we're not talking about flag.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I know. Yeah. That's why I said. But if we're talking flag football, then it'd probably still be tough, but you could. Because flag football can get a little physical sometimes.
You can have contact in the flag, yes, 100%.
Exactly. But if we're talking flag, then you'll have more individuals in the NBA that could go to the play football professionally. Mm-hmm. But I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You will find 30 NFL players before you ever find 30 NBA players. Ever.
Yeah. That want to do it willingly.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah. Facts. Like, I don't know about
I don't know about this.
So let's transition from NBA, NFL that we've been talking about for the last hour. So let's quickly, I'm going to ask you a question. Did you know the WNBA didn't have chartered flights until this year?
Yes.
You did know that. I did not know that. I did not know that. I thought
they were flying economy, nigga.
I did not know that, which is in my mind, it is crazy, wild to me, right? Mm-hmm. But and I'm again, I understand how sports work, professional sports work. So at least I think I do, and so I know you have to be making money in order to invest that back into the players. But this year, the WNBA is investing $25 million to have chartered flights for their teams. Mm-hmm. And, we had a conversation, was it last week, 2 weeks ago, where the wage gap conversation was being had.
Oh yeah.
You can add this to that because I did not know this. And I understand why the wage gap is there for the WNBA and the NBA, but this is wild to me that they did not have charter flights until this year. What do you think about that,
bruh? So the fact that they getting charter flights now, Caitlin Clark effect. You can thank her
100%,
100%. But when it just goes back to revenue, bro. Like whenever you $10 to $12 million in debt, what the hell are you gonna pay for? Like you gotta fly economy. You gotta buy them $200 tickets on Spirit. You ain't got no bread.
Not Spirit, damn.
You ain't got no bread. Like I said a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about Caitlin Clark, they are the welfare league of the NBA, bro. Who is the government of them, bro? Like they have no money. So what else are they gonna do? But thank you, Caitlin Clark, for bringing in. Thank you so much for bringing in bigger TV deals, bigger sponsorships, more eyes to the sport, to where we can now give y'all some charter flights. Thank you, Caitlin. We appreciate you. So I've been knew that. Yeah, that was, man. Come on, bro.
I did not know that.
It's crazy. They in the red every year. Like, what you expect?
But I mean, you would think at least for a professional league that would be one of the bare minimums that is there. Like you don't want them flying with, for lack of
how you gonna pay for it, D'Lo? How you gonna pay for it, D-Lo?
I get that, but that should be one of the expenses that is automatically coming out of the budget. Like,
okay, I can
find something else that you don't pay for. But for me, because now
don't only pay for food, but give them planes.
something like, you know what I mean? Because listen, not only are you putting their safety in danger.
Agreed. I agree with that. That's crazy.
You could this probably would never. It could happen. You could potentially have a delay that
big facts
messes up the game.
Big
so like
facts.
You would think that that's at least the bare minimum.
I think that's probably happened before, actually.
But that's probably that's at least, you would think that's at least the bare minimum. But you're right. It's the Caitlin Clark effect, and I think listening to Kelsey Plum, if she's not the players president, she needs to be, because she's been talking about the gap and the understanding of where they are as a league more and more as the last couple of years. I think that WNBA players are understanding that they are still a relatively young league that is progressing, that is finding their way. And these types of things will happen as they continue to grow and as more players that people want to watch come into the league. But it's the people outside the league, the feminists, the whoever wants to be involved with not understanding why men get paid the way they do and why women get paid the way they do in professional sports, that is causing all of this rift. But when I read this, I was like, oh man, this is crazy. I did not know that they didn't have charter flights until this year.
Bruh, crazy. Just yesterday, there was a report that says Asia Wilson for the Las Vegas Aces calls out WNBA after Aces flight delays for preseason game. It says, according to social media posts from Wilson and other members of the Las Vegas Aces, commercial flight from Washington, D.C. to Columbia, South Carolina was delayed at least 3 hours on Thursday night, and the team didn't leave for South Carolina until roughly 1 a.m. A flight from D.C. to Columbia, South Carolina is roughly 90 minutes. They didn't get to their hotel room until 4 a.m. in the morning, and they had a basketball game at 1 p.m.
Just saying, bro.
It's insane.
That should have been the bare minimum.
And I agree with you, but it just all goes back to revenue, bro. Right. For the past 26 years, they have not made money. They have constantly been millions and millions and millions in the hole. So that's one thing that you can't pay for is $1 million planes to fly your team around.
Yeah.
So what you gonna do, bro? Like, when you on welfare, you can't go to Roof Chris, nigga. Like, come on, bro.
Oh, they try.
Oh, they do. They be doing it.
They try.
They be doing it. You know what? That was a bad analogy because there is some scammers out here that be doing that shit. But it's just insane, bro. It is kind of crazy. It is kind of crazy. But my last thing that I wanted to talk about today, man, was I feel like our society is soft in a sense of when we was young back in the day, and I think I told this story on the podcast before. When we was young back in the day, the level of discipline from our parents was way different, way different. And man, it was so much different that I got hit with a mattress because I said a bad word. I think I told this story on the podcast before. There was a report that I saw that a 24-year-old father of two is going to be serving 30 years in prison for whipping his children for not cleaning their rooms. Now, back in our day, you would be hit with a frying pan, an extension cord, be told to go out, get told to go outside and get a switch, whatever belt your mama had on, and you probably get hit with the buckle. Bruh, it was so different. And that's why this is probably a lot of reason why society is so crazy today, because we hard pressed to, and of course you got two young kids, and I don't want to say that about you. And I know you everybody's parenting is different. There's no handbook to parenting. But the way we were disciplined, the way we were brought up was way different than it is now. So this dude is going to serve 30 years because he disciplined his kids. But now, mind you, the report says that prosecutors showed evidence that the gentleman physically abused his 2-year-old son and 3-year-old daughter for beating them repeatedly, leaving bruises on the toddler. So it's 2 little kids, babies, basically toddlers. Okay. It's Dalen and well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Your son and a 3-year-old kid. Yeah. That's not cleaning their room. So I can understand that it's probably excessive because they're so little. Yeah. But from what I remember,
how much of a room?
I didn't see the picture of the room. But
room do you want it to be though? From a
2-year-old, a 3-year-old. Yeah. Now I can remember myself getting spankings for the littlest stuff, leaving the door open too long, or something silly. You know what I'm saying? Leaving the lights on in the room, or something like that. Like I would get a spanking at 2-3 years old for that. So if I didn't clean my room at 3 years old, I probably got a spanking too. But come on, bro, 30 years is crazy, D-Lo.
Yeah, crazy. That's excessive. So I'll say this to start out: the logic in spanking your kids for not cleaning their room at the ages that they are, to me, doesn't make sense.
Kind of crazy. Yeah, I agree.
Because you have 15-year-olds that don't clean their room.
I got one in the room right now.
You know what I mean? So I mean, that, to me, that spanking them for that is unwarranted. Mm-hmm. However, I tend to agree with you when we talk about the softness and this gentle parenting era that we're in. And I battle and I struggle with it because I was disciplined as a child. I understand the purpose of it now, but while I was living it, did not understand it.
Facts.
And Dad, I know you're listening, and I've told you this before. I hated you when I was a kid because I didn't understand what you were doing and why I was getting disciplined the way I was getting disciplined. And he wasn't abusive. I just want to make that. But it was just anything I did, he was on my head, right? And now I'm like, oh, okay. I'm glad
he wasn't even my pops. He was on my head.
You know what I mean?
He's still on my head. He's still on my head today.
That's just, hey,
shout out to you, Pops.
That's just how he is, man. I mean, but being who I am now, I'm like, okay, I'm glad he raised me the way he does, or he did. And I take pockets of that and I try to do the same with my kids. Now, I'm not as constant with the spankings or whatnot that I got with my children, but I am constantly on them and harping on certain little things about what they should and shouldn't be doing. But I couldn't imagine my dad, my mom, whoever getting 30 years. Getting 30 years for discipline me. And I mean, the babies had bruises, whatnot. So we're not saying too complex. It's not saying we condone abuse. Definitely not saying
not at all. Heck no.
And so if the kids had bruising, yeah, he probably should have. And if it was severe enough to say like he was excessive with the whooping, then yes, he should have went to jail. But for 30 years is crazy. I mean, you have people that actually killed somebody. Can I say that? Whatever. Actually offed somebody that got 12 years or whatever. You know what I mean? So 30 years is excessive. You have people actually doing explicit things with children that they shouldn't be, that get 2 years. You gave the man 30 years? I don't know.
For discipline. Now, was the discipline excessive? 100%. Like it was, for what they did, it was bad. But for being a parent, like disciplining your child, doing what you're supposed to do to make sure your child does well. Yeah. That is 30 years is outrageous, bro.
Outrageous.
I couldn't imagine, like, as much as my Uncle G, God rest your soul, brother. Just like D-Lo said, I couldn't stand you either, because I knew when you came around, Grandma called you, it was a bad night. It was a bad night. Boy, it was a bad night. But now, just like D-Lo said, man, I understand why you were so hard, because it was like you got to make sure we stay in line, man. Because if not, we'll do whatever we want to do. And
right, it's not easy out here, bro.
It's not, man. It's not. It's not. So we got to make sure we raising great members of society. Because if we're not, then they're gonna be out here doing what D-Lo said and getting 2 years.
You know what I mean? That's crazy.
It's crazy,
or even worse, involved in other stuff that they have no business being involved
substances and stuff. Yep.
Right, and either losing their life or taking somebody else's life or whatever. Like the option, it's so easy to do the wrong things and so hard to do the right things now, and then, let alone just to survive. We can't. I mean, the mentality these days is very weak. I can agree with that.
What Kanye say? Well, how can something feel that's so bad feel so good?
Yeah,
crazy, bro.
Yeah. Crazy. I got one more before we get up out of here, though. So
what you got, G?
What are we living on, bro? What is this thing that we're floating around on?
Earth.
That's what we think it is. So apparently, scientists have discovered remains of a buried planet deep within Earth.
I can see that.
You can see that?
I can see that.
How can you? Okay, so let me finish. So scientists are saying that about 4.5 billion years ago, or 150 million years after the solar system formed, Earth was hit by a Mars-sized object called Theia, which not only is now, they say, buried within Earth, but also helped form the moon. What? What? Like, how are we just now saying that it's a planet buried within our Earth, when we've been digging in our Earth for so long? Like, supposedly we knew all the different layers of the Earth. So when you found out those different layers and what the core is like, and that the core isn't actually an actual core, but a ball that's not connected to any of the other layers, so on and so forth. When you found all that, you couldn't say, oh, wait, this doesn't look like anything that's part of our Earth. This is another planet.
This is a whole other planet. What are you talking about?
Come on, bro.
The reason I said I can see that is because of what we just talked about. You know, you got the crust and the magma and all of these other things, and the core and all of these things that the Earth is supposed to be made out of.
Yeah.
Me thinking of that, like, okay, something in there could be another planet. But what are we talking about? Like, on second thought, what are they talking about, bro? What are we talking about?
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, when I saw that, I was like, huh? Like, all these years we've been digging in the Earth, we just now saying, so this is another planet.
How did it become so perfectly spherical then? They
say Earth isn't. It's just more. Oh yeah, you said spherical. It's more oblong than spherical.
Oh, got you. Yeah. Okay.
So, but I don't know, man. Like, now I'm really starting to feel. We live in a
fucking.
I'm starting to simulation, lean into bro. Conspiracies now, bro. I'm starting to lean into.
We live in a simulation, bro. It don't. It makes absolutely no sense. Like, are we really living in a simulation, D-Lo? Like,
I don't know. They say like there's places on. I think we talked about this. There's places on Earth where it's hollow, not hollow, but they dug, and now it's a different, like, forest underneath a forest. What is going, like, bro? What is going on? What is going on?
It's so crazy, bro. Like, but I don't know, man. The world is it's so different. It's so different now. And what they come up with and what they tell us and the research that they do is so different now than what it was when we were in middle school. Like,
right.
Like there's so, but of course technology and science evolves and it just keeps getting better and better. So there's more things that they can do than they could do 20 years ago. But at the same time, it's like, what are we talking about? Like,
what are we talking about? What are we talking about? There's an asteroid that's apparently worth $35 trillion
dollars,
but we don't want to. We're gonna go study it, but we don't want to actually bring any of that back because it's gonna kill the economies. How is bringing something worth so much money going to kill all the other economies? Like, come on,
it can only fix it.
Make it make sense. Only fix it. That could make everybody on the planet not have to worry about money anymore.
Nothing.
Currency. Yeah, like we I don't know what's going on, bro. But I just thought that was funny when I was not funny, but interesting. When I saw that, I was like, how all these years of us digging into the world. A
Mars-sized asteroid hits the Earth. And now there's another planet inside of a planet. What are we? Oh, bro, it's crazy.
Did the asteroid hit Earth, split in whatever 3, and then those 2 outside the Earth shape kept going, and then the one stuck? Come on, make it.
We need more information on that, bro.
Make it make sense.
We need more information on that.
But let's go ahead and get up out of here, man. Episode 65.
65, D-Lo. We doing our thing, bro. You know what I'm saying? I want to just let you know, D-Lo, that I genuinely, oh man, that video going up. I genuinely enjoy doing this every weekend, man. And I appreciate you for, you know what I'm saying, making time in your day and sacrificing things in your life to be able to do this podcast, man. And of course, it's a marathon, not a sprint, but I appreciate you, D-Lo. I appreciate this every Saturday we do this. I appreciate it every single week, man. And again, with me being gone, this to me right here is an outlet for me to be able to connect with you, my brother, my best friend, and be able to do something that I enjoy doing and still have some sense of family around where I'm at. So, bro, I appreciate you, G. I appreciate it.
Likewise, my boy. I'm not going to go into all of that, but you already know what it is. Likewise, I appreciate doing this. I do get frustrated sometimes with
for sure
the lack of recognition that we get from listeners and whatnot. I just feel like we're still learning. We're still trying to figure out this podcast space, figure out YouTube and whatnot, but stuff that we say, we're not far off from what others are saying, or even on par with what others are saying that get more recognition. But like you said, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and I have to keep reminding myself of that. But yeah, man, I appreciate doing this every week as well. As time goes on, it'll continue to get better.
For sure.
I guess at some point in time, hopefully. If not, we'll just keep doing it how we are doing it. But at some point in time, we can do it in person. We can have
face to face. Is going to be so much better, and it will happen. It will happen.
Yeah. Pause on that statement. But
No diddy.
but yeah, man, I really do appreciate it. But yeah, man, episode 65 in the books. Thanks for tuning in to Too Complex. Remember that life is short and oftentimes complex, but when it becomes too complex, don't forget to lean on those that you love and trust the most to help bring simplicity and balance in life. Stay prayed up in this crazy world that we live in. A few requests thrown above can bring back peace and sanity. Thanks for loving us and listening to this podcast. It means the world to us. We're sending our love right back to you. Don't forget to subscribe on whatever podcast platform that you're listening to. And also follow us on all of our social media outlets. That would be YouTube, Instagram, and Threads. And as always, if it ain't too complex, it ain't complex at all. So until next time, we will see you when we see you. Salute.